Hi there, a warm welcome to you. Thank you for watching my views and news. Two news stories. Firstly, Ethiopia, Somalia, Somali land tensions, where Djibouti is mediating, and Djibouti has come up with a counter proposal to attract Ethiopia. Reportedly, it is being confirmed to us by some sources. What happened? What is the proposal being offered from Djibouti to Ethiopia? Secondly, Wellega where Oromia regional government is implementing a decision made months ago, for months since last year, I would say. Oromia government has been trying to implement this decision, but now reportedly new operations are being launched by Oromia Regional Forces, Ethiopian National Defense Force in Horo, Gadoro, Wellega, and East Wellega. What is going to be the impact of this decision on local Amhara population? Firstly, viewers, though the MOU signed on the 1st of January between Ethiopia and Somaliland could not translate into an agreement, but MOU still exists. And this MOU led to serious escalation between Ethiopia and Somalia. Under the MOU, if it is implemented, Ethiopia will gain access to the sea, will establish a naval base in Somaliland, and in return, will be recognized as a country by Ethiopia. We know that Somalia has been opposing the MOU, calling it a violation of its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Djibouti is one of the affected parties. Why? Because Djibouti port has been handling Ethiopian imports and exports. And Djibouti uh, Djibouti has earned billions of dollars from Ethiopia in the last few years. Obviously, if Ethiopia diverts its imports and exports to Berbera, it would be a huge loss for Djibouti's economy. While Djibouti is trying to portray itself as a neutral party, obviously it wants to upset the Ethiopia Somaliland MOU. It does not want this MOU to be implemented. And for that, either it needs to undermine the MOU by backing Somalia, or it can give a better deal to Ethiopia. So far, Djibouti has managed to take a very balanced position in terms of being acceptable to both Somalia and Ethiopia. So Somaliland sees Djibouti with the pinch of salt, I believe. And we know that just yesterday we heard from Djibouti's foreign minister. He said that Mahmoud is his name. I think Mahmoud Yusuf. He said that first meeting had been held between Ethiopia and Somalia in Kenya, and second planned to be held in Djibouti. We know that a day before the signing of the MOU between Somalia and Ethiopia, Djibouti hosted both Somaliland President Musi Abdi and Somalia President Hassan Sheikh. The two went to Djibouti to resume negotiations to resolve issues, but suddenly after that, Musi Abdi went to Addis Ababa and signed a controversial MOU with Ethiopia. Now, reportedly, on the one hand, Djibouti is mediating between Ethiopia and Somalia, trying to de-escalate the situation. On the other hand, reportedly, Djibouti is offering a better deal to Ethiopia. Ethiopia wants access to sea. It wants to establish a naval base. It wants some rights on port, which it wants to use. It wants a long-term agreement. Reportedly, Djibouti has offered naval base to Ethiopia. Obviously not officially, but through some sources, Djibouti has made this offer to Ethiopia. Official confirmation is awaited. Djibouti is home to several foreign military bases, a French military base, Chinese military base, American military base, to Saudis have a military base. Lots of military bases are in Djibouti. So if Ethiopia also establishes a naval base in Djibouti, perhaps it wouldn't be a matter of concern for Djibouti. But is Djibouti going to give some rights to Ethiopia on the port as well? That remains to be seen. This is what Ethiopia wants. It does not want to be a customer having no rights on the port. Ethiopia wants some rights on the port as well. We could not receive the details of a full package which Djibouti has offered to Ethiopia, but reportedly Djibouti has offered to Ethiopia. Ethiopia can establish a naval base in Djibouti. Uh, Ethiopia did not reject the proposal. Reject or accept. It is considering the proposal. Maybe Somalia will also make an offer to Ethiopia. Offer from Somalia, offer from Djibouti. Now, Ethiopia will have to decide what to do. Should it stick with the MOU or should it turn to Somalia or Djibouti? That Ethiopia will decide in coming days. Somaliland, meanwhile, pushing for implementation of MOU. A technical committee established there by Musibe Abdi is busy holding meetings, trying to create consensus, holding meetings with the business community, with local people, with opposition parties, with all the relevant players. Ethiopia silent, considering all the options being offered to Ethiopia. So let's see. So far, too early to say what Ethiopia intends to do. Let's see what happens when talks are held in Djibouti between Ethiopia and Somalia, reportedly in coming days. How will Somaliland react to these talks? We'll see soon. Secondly, viewers, the Wellega center of ethnic violence for years. Amharas here, Oromos too. Local Amharas are armed. They were being armed last year. Before that too. Weaponization is a key issue in Wellega, by the way. All groups are armed here. Local Amharas are armed. They have organized themselves on local level, village level, town level. Oromos, Oromo Liberation Army operating here, heavily armed with small arms. Anti-Ola groups operating too, like Fikad of Disa group, armed. Oromia Regional Forces, armed. Obviously, Ethiopian National Defense Force, armed. Gachar, Sarna, other militias, armed. So it's a very highly weaponized area, and that is why whenever there is a conflict, number of casualties is always high because all groups are armed here. Yeah. Oromia regional government has been trying to disarm people. Since last year, we have been reporting. By the way, Amharas were armed not long ago. They were armed last year, and in the last 2 years, they were armed mainly, we can say. Oromia government wants to disarm Amhara residents of Wellega. Oromos are not heavily armed. Why? Because security forces are Oromo, Ola is Oromo. In some cases, local Oromos are armed too, but security forces are mainly Oromo. That is why Oromo population is not heavily armed. Amharas are armed. Oromia government wants to disarm ethnic Amharas living in Wellega. And military disarmed local Amhara population in East Wellega a few weeks ago. In East Wellega, Gida Ayana is the place where military launched an operation to disarm Amhara residents. And whenever military or regional forces try to launch an operation to disarm Amhara local people, it leads to clashes between Amharas or Wellega and security forces. It has been happening since last year. Now, reportedly, military has launched another operation, Oromia regional forces on board to disarm Amharas living in East Wellega. In Horogodoro Wellega, this first operation was launched in East Wellega, Gida Ayana, and the second operation is being launched in Horogodoro Wellega, Ebedengoro, Tulugana, Jarte, Jardiga, Voredas. Amhara population here extremely worried. Amhara people say that they arm themselves for self-defense. They don't want to attack anyone, but since their neighborhoods are attacked by allegedly by armed groups, including the Oromo Liberation Army or Oromia regional forces or groups backed by the government, that is why people have every right to arm themselves. If they are disarmed, they'll be vulnerable to attacks by armed groups. People worried they'll definitely resist disarmament campaign by the government, and that could lead to escalation of tension, security situation deterioration in Oro Godoro Wellega in coming days. Reported. Thank you for watching.